Hi, and welcome to the Your Story Studios podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things content creation. And today I'm joined by Jonesy. And Jonesy, we are going to talk about the gear that you use.
Yeah, man, I love talking about gear. It's my top favorite thing in life.
Excellent. Well, what have you got here to show us today?
This is my pride and joy. It's awful. It's my Pocket 6K Pro. I love Blackmagic's gear. Some of it is very silly. Some of it doesn't work. Some of it is very clunky to use. Probably all of it's very clunky to use. But you know what it does? It works and it's cheap. And God bless things that are cheap. I think a lot of people put a lot of stock in gear that's, important or it's going to make or break their career. But you know what? It doesn't really. I think all your skills and where they're at, that's the most important thing for you. I think whatever camera you use is kind of just a factor, but it's not the be all and end all. And a lot of people don't really see it that way.
Yeah, that is true. In today's age and current climate with camera gear and all that, we are spoiled for choice.
Mm-hmm.
What was it exactly that led you to get the Blackmagic camera system as opposed to Sony, Canon, Panasonic?
Well, talking about cameras, it's all about the features that you've got with it. Even though this doesn't have autofocus, it's got a great picture, it's got very workable color, a nice tilty screen, ND filters, stuff that I really wanted just for quality of life. And quality of life's the big thing when you're talking about gear. What do I need as for me? What do I not need? What can I live without? What do I I need this? And what do I want, but I don't really need it. And this had the nice balance of things for me. Also, as I've said before, it was cheap. And realistically, gear's expensive. And in an age where you have to buy a camera, you have to buy lenses, you have to buy a grip, you have to buy sound, there's so many purchases you're making. If you can save a few dollars on a thing that, solves most of your tick boxes, that's pretty good.
Yeah, all right. So if money wasn't a factor, is there another system that you would be eyeing off right now?
The next step would be Sony going into an FX6. I love an FX6. They're great. They're fantastic. I'm saying this to a camera that's an FX6 right now. They're fantastic. They solve all your problems for a lot of video producers. They have enough buttons, enough things that, all the features that you need. Realistically, if I was going to go over that, I'd go more into cinema territory just because I can. That's really where the fun stuff is, even though they're also even more clunky and even more silly. The picture they can output is 10 to none.
Yeah, so looking at cinema cameras, I mean, what is a cinema camera these days? Have you had much experience? Have you got your hands on many different types of cinema cameras?
Yeah, I've used pretty much everything Ari's built in the last 20 years. I love the Alexas. They're great cameras. They make, the picture and the color science on those is the best you'll ever find on a camera. Reds are decent. I've tried some of the new fancy VistaVision ones and they're fancy and they're very fun to use. But Reds are awful. I hate them. Red as a company is the worst practice in the game. Or Nikon now, I should say.
I was going to say.
Yeah. But I've used pretty much everything. When it comes to the lower manufacturers, I've used a lot of Panasonic gear. Panasonic's been a big, entry-level kind of company, with the GH series and all that kind of stuff. And they make great stuff. But, as you get more professional, you need better gear. And unfortunately, that's kind of where they get left behind. Nikon are making great strides. Canon. Sony doing great stuff. Yeah, but I think Blackmagic has a decent niche in the market for stuff that really solves the purpose. And if you're working in stuff in even to broadcast environments where you're going to be using their equipment a lot more, it's nice to have an understanding of their ecosystem and their settings and how Resolve works and how their ADAM software works. And I think having Blackmagic gear that works well with it is really good.
Yeah. So speaking of Resolve, what editing program do you use?
I use Prem.
You do use Prem?
I do use Prem.
I thought you used Resolve though as well.
I tried to use Resolve and then I stopped.
Tell me more.
Realistically, the only reason I used Resolve was to try and get the Blackmagic camera to use the gyro stabilization. Outside of that, I don't need it. There's no way Prem solves all my problems. I know how to use Prem. And that's the thing for a lot of people, quality of life. And what do you know how to use? Same goes for cameras. If you know how to use a camera and that works for you, just get the next step in the chain. Resolve is great. It's powerful. It's incredible software. It solves a lot of different purposes, but I know how to use Prem.
Yeah, I think you do hear a lot of talk online about switching to Resolve from Premiere. And the main, pros that I've seen is Resolve is free. Or if you want to be able to use a few more features, and I believe that 10-bit footage needs to have the paid license. It's then just a one-off paid license. Whereas with Premiere, it's an ongoing subscription. And that to some people is a bit of a turn-off. Is that a turn-off to you?
Hell yeah. Adobe are money-stealing, awful people. I hate them. How dare they? They just have some of the worst business practices for, a software company in the game. Whereas, Blackmagic and Resolve, it's that one-off license of $400. Otherwise, if you buy one of these cameras, it does come with it, thankfully. But outside of using Lightroom and Prem and After Effects, why would you use Adobe? Just find something else somewhere else. But that's the way it comes, I guess.
So why haven't you found something else?
There's nothing else. It's Prem and Resolve. I could use Avid if I was a goblin. I could use Vegas if I'm 13. But no, Prem does the job. Or you can just, do the old sneaky.
No, we don't.
We don't do the old sneaky here. No.
Well, there is also Final Cut. Have you had any experience with Final Cut?
No, I've never used Final Cut. I don't know anyone who really has anyway. Or the people who do, it's all Mac-based. And, a lot of people are working either Mac to PC or they're using between systems if they're in like bigger companies and stuff like that because it just gives them more options. But no, Final Cut I haven't used. I know many people who do. Gear's always about being the be-all and end-all of having the best equipment. And you don't need the best equipment because, you're not doing anything that requires the best equipment. If it solves all your hot button things of having good picture quality, good resolution, I think that's the big thing. I don't think you need to have the fanciest f2 lens or f.95 lens that's incredible and fancy, or having a Leica that has a lens that costs $12,000. What are you doing?
It'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
If I had just like unlimited money, there's absolutely no way I wouldn't buy a Leica just for the fact that I'm shooting with a Leica.
Exactly, yeah.
But then there would be some ethical, I think, objections I would have to that. Like if I had unlimited money, maybe I should invest it into
people.
Yeah, maybe solving some world problems. But Leica. I have heard though, when you use the Leica, like it's just something different.
Yeah, I've heard that too, yeah. But I think a lot of people put money into gear when gear is only a step in the chain. I think the skills are really important, having the knowledge and being able to do it, but also having a crew. Like if you're a one-man band, I'm pretty sure putting more money into the crew that you can have around you to support you, have someone handle all the lighting for you, have someone handle the sound for you. That's going to be a lot better of a, money investment than having all these fancy things that you can pay for and all this equipment that doesn't really do it all.
Yeah. Well, I was sharing with you when we weren't recording that I do have GAS bad, which
Me
is
too.
Gear Acquisition Syndrome. And I think over definitely last year. So if I open up my QuickBooks and I look at all my expenses, I believe I spent around 50,000 Australian dollars on gear, which is listed as minor equipment or whatever in my QuickBooks. And for that period, I was buying what I would believe were essential upgrades. So I was purchasing expensive tripods, lenses, possibly a few camera bodies as well. And they were all strategically purposed to make my job on set easier, something that I wouldn't have to be fighting with as well. And $50,000, it's a lot of money, but I wasn't going into debt when I was purchasing those. I was purchasing all those things with money I had already earned from jobs I'd already done with equipment that was annoying me or not doing the right job. So during last year, I purchased a lot. And then this past financial year, I think I've spent just under 10,000 on minor equipment. And that's because I got most of the equipment that I needed to improve my shoots and get to a certain level as well in that previous financial year. So there is something to be said about purchasing equipment and purchasing the right type of equipment.
Purchasing the right type of equipment is really important.
Yeah, there is that saying, buy nice or buy twice. So I have adopted that strategy to some of my purchases. But a few years ago, when I was switching camera systems from Panasonic to Sony, I bought the cheaper lenses first just to see how they performed and whether I really needed to upgrade. And then after I used them for a few months, made a bit of money, I then invested and then upgraded to
Yeah.
the nicer lenses. So I got Sony G lenses, and then I started upgrading to Sony GM Mark II lenses when they came out. So that's what I would say in regards to my gas.
Yeah.
It's lessened. Tell me about your gas.
I think, my gas is I spend a lot of time doing research and looking at the new stuff, but not a lot of time using it and testing it out, unfortunately. And that's just one of the limitations of not having massive amounts of capital. Even though I'm sitting here in front of like a pretty cheaper camera, I think one of the big things that's important for gear, especially if gear is an investment, if it's the thing that for your business, you kind of have to go into it knowing exactly what you're getting, exactly what you want, and really making sure that that is the tool for you. I believe the philosophy of buy once, cry once. Even though it might be more expensive, get it if it's going to last you for a longer time. If you need a monitor that's crystal clear, pristine, go spend the extra money. If you need a camera that maybe it costs a lot, but if that suits all your boxes and that's what you need, go spend it. Because otherwise, if you get something cheaper, sometimes it can bite you in the ass and you hate to see it. Yeah.
Well, you just mentioned monitor. I do believe you recently purchased a monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me about why you picked that one and what you did to purchase that one?
Yep. So I work as a focus puller sometimes on narrative things. And so if I'm focus pulling, I really want the crystal clear monitor, the best single monitor I can buy on the market. And for me, that was at the time the 703 Ultra Bright by Small HD. It's incredible. The picture's crisp and clear, the perfect professional in and out points, for professional stuff. And it's just got the best image for focus pulling, unfortunately. And there isn't anything else, particularly in the market, that can really match it. And if there is, too bad, because I have this one. But even though it was really expensive and it was a big investment for me, that's something I can use for the next 5, 7, maybe even 10 years if I really stretch it out. Like, it's just good quality. And as long as it lasts me, hell yeah, I'm going to keep using it.
Yeah, I own that monitor as well. It's sitting on the FX6, which is recording you right now. And I purchased that monitor at the end of the financial year last year. And I actually saw it cheaper online than where I was looking and where I actually did end up buying it from. And just a little word of advice, I guess, for people that might be looking at purchasing gear. If you are purchasing gear from a retail store that is a physical location, so not Amazon or an online store or whatever, you can send them an email and say, hey, do you do price matching, and would you be willing to match the price that I've found elsewhere? And they might come back to you and say, no, we don't. And that's that. But I did that with the place where I purchased my monitor, and they came back to me, and it was at the end of the financial year, just a couple of days before that. And they said, normally we don't price match. However, as an end of financial year special, if you want to purchase it before the end of financial year, we will match the price that you found. So I ended up saving about 500 Australian dollars just by asking that one question, as opposed to going on their website and clicking buy now. So if you do have gas and you do need to buy something and you want to get a cheaper price, sometimes you just have to ask.
Yeah, and also try before you buy as well. Like, if you know someone who has that particular bit of equipment, just go ask them to see if you can borrow it for a few days or just test it out at their place or something like that, just to try and get a feel for it and see if that's exactly how you like to use your equipment. And another thing that's really important is to build good connections with the rental houses and networks in your area like that, because if you've got a rental house that has this fancy camera that you want to try out because you want to try it for your next project. So this Canon C400 has just come out at the moment. If you want to go and test that out, if you had a good connection with a rental house who has that particular bit of equipment, you can go ask them to see if they use it, because they'd love to have you in to test out the equipment, see what's going on, see how it all works. Because otherwise, that's how they build relationships. That's how they get more business, by building connections with their customers. And if they've got it, they'll let you in for free just to play around with it.
Yeah, absolutely. As I've actually got a story in regards to that. I was at Videocraft once. This would have been back in 2018. And I don't know why I was there. I was probably buying something because I had gas. And one of the Panasonic sales reps were there. And this was just when the Panasonic Eva 1 had come out. And I was really interested in getting my hands on that and trying that out. And he was there and he said, oh, well, if you want to have a free loan for a weekend, let me know. Here's my email. So he went off. I went home. I sent him the email, and then they sent through the documents. I filled those out. I went to Panasonic in Melbourne, picked it up, and then I had a free trial loan of the camera for the weekend. And then after having that loan, I ended up purchasing that camera. So I ended up saving a few $100s on rental fees just by being in the right place at the right time and then being able to ask that question. You have not because you ask not is something that I live by in my life. So if you are wanting something and you know someone that has it, I think it is a wise idea to ask the question. The worst thing that they can say is no. Maybe you may as well just ask the question.
I think my final parting words about gear is just that, gear isn't the be all and end all. I think we get it kind of wrapped up in the new technology that comes out, the new lens, the new battery, the new camera, all this kind of stuff. But realistically, it only matters as good as you are as a filmmaker, as a person behind the camera. I think you could do so much just with a phone these days. I know a lot of people who've made thousands upon thousands of dollars just shooting stuff on their phone. You can't really discount, the new stuff that's coming out, but also the stuff that you've currently got. Just do whatever you can.
Yeah, just because the C400 or the Canon C400s come out doesn't mean that your C70 is absolute garbage now. Well, Jonesy, thanks for coming on the Your Story Studios podcast.
Thanks for having me.